Jets blow a 16-point lead at home to lose week 1, and then before the Monday Nighter, Sam Darnold comes down with mononucleosis. The worst Mad Lib in New York Jets history, or at least the one since Ryan Fitzpatrick gets the start because Geno Smith had his jaw rearranged by his teammate.
I think you got it all.
Did I get it all?
I think so.
Well, I don't know if I got it all. Another expert on this subject is joining us back on the Rich Eisen Show, Mike Greenberg. Did I get it right, Greenie?
In order to get it all, we would need about 3 or 4 days to have this conversation. But I think you have touched on the most important and salient points. I'm trying to come up with a joke that says something along the lines of, what do my 15-year-old niece and the starting quarterback of the New York Jets have in common?
Oh, my gosh.
They're both going to miss a little time with mono. You could not make this up if you tried to.
No, you couldn't. I mean, and I say here then what I tweeted out earlier. I know you're a busy man. I don't know if you saw it, but you said that you're renaming your children Sam and Darnold. You can rename them Mono and Nucleosis. How does Nucleosis Greenberg hit you?
That sounds good. We're actually taking her off to college this weekend. We're taking little Nucleosis to Northwestern on Saturday. And listen, this is so ridiculously depressing that my mind actually went to the worst possible place. Now, I'll give you the worst case,
okay,
and then we'll work our way back to the best case. I want to ask you an honest question as a fan of the Jets.
Yes, sir.
Because you and I, when we were together, we talked about how tough the start of the schedule is.
No doubt.
The Jets could have been a reasonably good team and been 1-6. Winning the Buffalo game felt absolutely paramount. So the Jets could play even better than we expect them to and still be hopelessly buried by the time Sam Darnold comes back. If the Jets are staring, I'm at 0-4, which feels like a very real possibility right now. Would you, Rich Eisen, trade LeVeon Bell?
Would I trade LeVeon Bell? Look at you, Greenie.
Every
Look
year
at you.
that goes by with him is 1 year further from his maximum, from his prime. If you traded him in October of this year, you would probably get a pretty significant return. This year is a wash. You're probably better off, and I hate even saying this out loud, but once you're 0-4, winning games actually become somewhat contrary to your bigger picture objectives. I'm not suggesting tanking or anything like that, but I am suggesting that having LeVeon Bell on an 0-4 team is, insert your joke here, having really fancy rims on a car that has no engine. So would you, if there was some team out there that felt they were a running back away, that felt they were LeVeon Bell away from winning a Super Bowl, and offered you a really big haul of draft picks, if you were the Jets, would you do that deal?
I would not, Mike. I would not. LeVeon Bell is at the beginning of his peak years. Even 0-4 is not the end of it. I mean, I could go, Joe Walton on you here. I mean, they could pull a reverse Joe Walton and go in a different direction. Because again, it depends on who would be so desperate as to trade for LeVeon Bell in the middle of the season. I don't know who would do something like that. It's a great fodder for a conversation like we're having, but still, Sam Darnold's 22. LeVeon Bell is what, Brockman, 26? I mean, it makes. I wouldn't do it, Mike. You would? Would you really entertain that?
I don't know that I would or not, but the thought crossed my mind, and the mere fact that the thought of whether or not they should trade LeVeon Bell one game into his tenure with the Jets is about the most depressing thing I can imagine. Okay, now let me spin it back to the good news.
Yes.
So Trevor Siemian is someone I know well. Trevor Siemian was the quarterback at Northwestern, which is where I went to school.
Yes, sir.
And I have been telling everyone who would listen, Trevor Siemian is going to make a living in the National Football League for 15 years because he is exactly what you want a backup quarterback to be. He is a guy who can keep the ship afloat for a couple of weeks. I've always said if your quarterback badly sprains his ankle. I didn't anticipate mononucleosis, but they are, for the purposes of this discussion, the same thing. I think the Jets, I think Trevor Siemian is more than good enough to win a game or two for the Jets. Now, you just ran through the schedule. Week 3 is New England. They weren't going to win that game anyway. It would be awfully surprising if they won that game, regardless of who the quarterback was. This is why losing to Buffalo was so ridiculously damaging because now they have to beat Cleveland. If you don't beat Cleveland, you know the numbers better than I do. If you start a season out 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs are so infinitesimal that it feels hopeless. So Monday night feels like it is the season. And the good news for anyone else listening who's a fan of the Jets is I have faith in Trevor Siemian. He's a good player. He's not meant to be someone's starter for a decade, but he is a good backup, and he is more than capable of coming in and playing well enough if the defense is really good on Monday night for the Jets to have a real chance to win.
Well, here's the deal, Mike Greenberg, ESPN, my compadre in this world of misery for the Jets right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Here's the deal, Mike, is that yes, they should win a game in New England week 3. That's the defeatist attitude that so many Jet fans, and I understand why it's had. But yes, they should win week 3 because Sam Darnold is supposed to be the guy in year 2 to walk in with LeVeon Bell behind him and Adam Gase coordinating it. Even he might be the guy, might not be the guy, but it's time. It's time. How many franchises can discover their newfound savior in the draft? The Browns clearly have somebody that they can hang their hat on. The Chiefs had the dream come true Tom Brady thing bestowed upon them. We could keep going on and on about this, and it doesn't happen to the Jets. And Darnold, I'm afraid right now, Greeny, still his high water mark is coming back on the Lions in his first game in which he threw a pick 6 to start his career. When is it going? This is the issue, that this should be it now. I mean, they should go into a place like New England. They should be able to look the Eagles in the face in their house and say, Sam Darnold's for real. He's our Wentz, right? That he's our Goff. That's the thing that should be happening right now, and it's not. And it might not even this year. We might have to wait till next year, Mike.
Right. If we lived in an alternative universe, then all those things might be what were happening. But what is actually happening is that there was a moment in time on Sunday when the Jets defense had forced 4 turnovers, recorded a safety, and scored a touchdown, and they were in a 1-score game with the Buffalo Bills. That happened. So the Jets offense on Sunday was so bad, so unimaginative, so ridiculously disappointing that even before Darnold came down with mono, I was extremely concerned. Like, I don't know what you thought. I hated what I saw from the offense on Sunday. I thought it was ridiculously predictable. It was unimaginative. It was obvious the offensive line had no chance of protecting Darnold, and yet they kept sending him back into that same drop with no threat of moving him around in the pocket or anything like that, which he does so well. How many balls can you have batted down at the line of scrimmage before you say we need to try something different? And they didn't. Then Quincy Enunwa got his annual out for the season injury. I can't believe he got through an entire game before he was placed on injured reserve for the year. So all the things that make people use, anyone around the country who's not familiar with the Jets may not know these 3 words that you and I know far too well. It makes people say same old Jets. And that, unfortunately, is what it feels like. And I'm fighting like crazy the inclination to just throw my hands up in the air and say, there we go again. But it would be hard for me to deny that there is a part of me that is thinking that right now.
All right, so let's use it before I let you go, Mike Greenberg. Let's use our smile as our umbrella. Top 5 most, shall we say, embarrassing. I don't know if embarrassing is the word. Most typical Jets moment. Okay, so here's my list. Tell me if there's anything missing. On this list, in no particular order, is Belichick leaving after 24 hours by resigning on a cocktail napkin.
Right.
Butt fumble. Okay. The fake spike, where Marino beats the Jets with a fake spike. Geno Smith gets his jaw rearranged, leading to Fitzmagic, and Fitzmagic teases well enough to take us to week 17 for him to only turn over the ball 17 times against the Bills, again, to lose that. And then there's this, right? This is in there. Sam Darnold gets mononucleosis to put a comeback season, which there's so much hope in. Am I missing anything?
Well, those wouldn't be my worst moments in Jets history. They may be the most infamous moments in Jets history. I mean, Mark Gastineau once roughed the quarterback in Cleveland in a playoff game on a fourth down where the game would have been over. They called roughing the quarterback, and instead the Jets wound up losing in double overtime. That was a playoff game that wound up leading the Browns to Denver.
But Greeny, that sounds like, everybody's got their bad beats in poker, has their bad beats, to use a SVP phrase. I'm talking about this is the fingerprint of the New York Jets here, okay?
Yeah.
Who else has an all-time modern-day Lombardi say, I'm out after 24 hours? I didn't even include Mo Lewis ushering in the Tom Brady era. Who else has on national TV on Thanksgiving their quarterback, who so much hope was put in because of 2 back-to-back championship game appearances, who has him disintegrate in front of the nation by running into the taint of his lineman? Who else has their so-called hope at quarterback that they've got one last shot at because they drafted him in the second round, lose that opportunity because he has his jaw rearranged by his teammate? I mean, name me another franchise that's got all that on their resume before all this, Mike.
Fair enough. I gladly concede. Those feel like the right things to name in this circumstance. I mean, the Jets, up until a few of these records were broken, the Jets had drafted a quarterback ahead of the all-time leading passer, drafted a running back ahead of the all-time leading rusher, and drafted a receiver ahead of the all-time leading receiver. The quarterback record and the running back record have since been – the running back record still stands. They drafted a running back ahead of Emmitt Smith, they drafted a receiver ahead of Jerry Rice, and they drafted a quarterback ahead of Dan Marino. Marino's records have since been broken. But that's sort of the lot in life of the Jet fan, and unfortunately here it seems to have continued.
So that's not a bad one right there to put on the top 5. But this one's up there. I mean, this is nuts, man.
Do they win? Do you give them any chance to win Monday night now?
Of course.
With Trevor Siemian?
No. I do. Yes. As your point, Trevor Siemian is as a guy who's won football games before. He could be able to come in here but if Le'Veon Bell's out with with his shoulder, I don't know. That's going to be a tall order, man. That would be a very tall order.
The defense was basically a tale of 2 games. There was before C.J. Mosley got hurt and after C.J. Mosley got hurt. I don't know yet if Mosley is going to play Monday night or not. And look, they get a Browns team that comes in desperate. Odell Beckham coming back to New York, which is obviously a huge deal. There's one thing we know for sure. He'll know what time it is throughout the entirety of the game. And it sets up, I mean, the drama is remarkable. Both teams desperately need the win, and now the Jets unfortunately go into it without the guy who was in theory their best player.
Well, by the way, that's not a bad company man, but you right there. That's good. That's not a bad promo for Monday Night Football. Still tune in.
Go.
One team still got a shot despite their quarterback having mono. I can't believe it, Mike. Hey, listen, at least you still have your Mets, right?
Correct. They're still sort of hanging in there and fighting their way in, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, look, enjoy. I know that it's bittersweet when a kid goes. I don't know, actually. From what one day I will experience this, as you pointed out when we chatted off air the other day. Taking your kid to Northwestern, what a beautiful school, as you all know. So tell Nucleosis Greenberg we send our best.
I will. Thank you, my man. Good to talk to you, and we'll do it next time under more pleasant circumstances.
I love it. We'll chat soon, Mike. Thanks for the call, brother.
Okay.
You got it. That's Mike Greenberg.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.